So some news happened in the pro wrestling world, and well, there's been a lot of news since I've last talked about pro wrestling on this channel, but I digress. Anyway, there's been some recent news, whether it's big or small or means nothing to you at all. It varies by your mileage, but in the grand scheme of things, it's kind of somewhat news that Cesaro, Claudio Castagnoli, I don't know how you pronounce his name, but anyway, Cesaro, now former WWE superstar, the Swiss Cyborg, the Swiss Superman, whatever you want to call him, has left the WWE. It's been reported by Pro Wrestling Insider, Fightful, well, still not officially confirmed by WWE, but then again, they don't really report these things themselves. They don't make these officially official, unless it's like one of those mass release cuts that Cesaro and the WWE didn't come to a new contract, and they just let his contract expire. Or Cesaro didn't like the contract that was offered to him and decided to let the current deal run out, and he was going to leave shortly thereafter. And there were reports saying that the contract running out and the way Cesaro left was met with disappointment and dismay, considering that he was a very well-liked guy in the locker room. So I know there's going to be a lot of people all disappointed that Cesaro is gone from WWE. WWE underutilized him. They didn't use him to the biggest of potentials. And here are my 2 cents about Cesaro. During his, how long has he been in WWE? 10 years. Cesaro, in my opinion, I will give him this. I will give Cesaro this. He is a really, really good, he is a really, really good wrestler. I mean, not in terms of character and charisma, I will get to that in a second, but when it comes to the athleticism and his in-ring ability, he is pretty damn good. When he lifts up the wrestlers for the uppercuts and does the Cesaro swing, I mean, those are cool things that he does in the ring. And his strength is like undeniable. Lifting up the Big Show in that Battle Royale, Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royale, swinging. I think he also swung the Big Show a few times, like a couple of big men in the peak years of his career, like back in like 15 and 16 of WWE. But I digress. So Cesaro, for what it's worth, the good things about Cesaro were his athleticism and his feat of strength. But the reason why Cesaro never worked out in WWE was something that Vince McMahon pointed out on the Steve Austin show back in 2014. He had no character. He had no charisma. He lacked the mic skills. I mean, sure, a lot of wrestlers still lack mic skills nowadays, but Cesaro really suffered from not being able to do a promo by himself. They tried to strap him with the manager, with Paul Heyman, but for whatever reason, I guess they didn't think that was a good idea. I mean, I will give Cesaro a little bit of flack, not a little bit of flack, but a little bit of slack for the breakup between him and Paul Heyman and why that went south. But anyway, Cesaro really needed a manager. They really did. I mean, he really struggled with his promos. He really failed to energize the crowd with his words. And I mean, sure, he let his actions do the talking, but when it came to engaging with the crowd with words, or going, let's say he was engaging in a one-on-one promo with, let's say, Roman Reigns or Daniel Bryan, he was clearly outmatched on the mic by either one of those people, or whoever he was strapped up with. Either way, Cesaro didn't have the verbal charisma. He didn't have the energy like to bring in, to excite the crowd. He also didn't have a clear-cut character. I mean, what was he? A strong man. He was like the Swiss Superman, like, what is that supposed to mean? What is the Swiss side? What, to a first-time viewer, what does the Swiss Superman, what's the Swiss cyborg supposed to mean? I mean, maybe if Cesaro had come out with, like, you know, like, say, you know, Cyborg from Teen Titans, maybe Cesaro could have gotten some inspiration from that. You know, oh, maybe he's an actual cyborg. He has the superhuman strength, and then he could show off his superhuman strength in the ring. I mean, of course, he shouldn't talk like a cyborg, but either way, it's just Cesaro never had the verbal mic skills, the verbal charisma, as well as his character wasn't really that defined in WWE. Now, of course, him losing his job, or him leaving without a job sucks, but of course there's plenty of opportunities outside the ring. The only place I don't want him to go is AEW, because it's just, the roster's just too stacked in AEW now. And of course people will be like, oh, Cesaro will thrive in AEW. Cesaro will do wonders in the land of all elite wrestling, with having dream matches, having great matches for the sake of having great matches with Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley and Keith Lee and Kenny Omega, all the wet dream matches. But really, like, look at that roster. It's Tony Khan is adding so many people now that the people that he added, the people that are now all elite, a large chunk of them are on AEW Dark, or on Rampage, or most of them are on Dark, on the YouTube shows. Like, do people really think that Cesaro is gonna thrive in a primetime show like Dynamite or Rampage, for that matter, on a 1 hour show? There's just too many people, too many mouths to feed in AEW. Maybe it can go somewhere like, I don't know, in TNA, or what, Ring of Honor, or I don't know, just do some indie shows. I mean, the dude's like, what, over 40 years old? I mean, he still clearly can go in the ring, but it's just too crowded in AEW. But either way, I mean, I personally wish Cesaro the best of luck with whatever he does, but at the end of the day, in my opinion, Cesaro was just a really overrated wrestler. I mean, I liked him for his athletic ability, but when it came to, you know, the things I look for in a pro wrestler, with the story, the character, the promos, I didn't really see anything in Cesaro. I really didn't. Like, there were a lot of things really lacking with Antonio Cesaro. So again, best of luck to whatever he does next. But either way, I guess I'm kind of glad that Cesaro's gone. I mean, WWE's not really losing much by letting him leave. But anyway, this is Very Cold Lasagna signing out of another video. I'm DylanLasagna, and until next time, peace out.